Operation Overlord is the code name given to the invasion of Normandy by land, air, and sea, with the goal to rid France of German occupation. The landing included over 5,000 watercrafts, 11,000 airplanes, and over 150,000 servicemen. Over a dozen individuals were awarded with the Medal of Honor.
You will bring about the destruction of the German war machine. The elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe. And security for ourselves in a free world.
The target of the landings was a 50-mile stretch off the Normandy coast and was divided into 5 sectors: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Utah and Omaha were the 2 bloodiest battles of the operation. Dwight D. Eisenhower was placed in command of Operation Overlord, and in 1943 the planning of the operation had begun. Operation Neptune is the code name defining the seaborne landing phase in Normandy and is the largest naval operation in history. This operation is the naval phase under the general code name of Operation Overlord, otherwise known as D-Day. The naval phase of Overlord, codenamed Neptune, was under the authority of Admiral Bertram Ramsay. Born January 20th, 1883, Bertram Home Ramsay was the son of Captain William Ramsay of the British Army. Attending the Royal Colchester Grammar School as a youth, Ramsay elected not to follow his 2 older brothers into the Army. Instead, he sought a career and joined the Royal Navy as a cadet in 1898. For the naval phase in Overlord, Ramsay developed a plan that would have gotten soldiers to land safely to secure the beaches in Normandy. However, the plan looked better on paper as some of the intelligence in the naval phase was not correct. The plan for the naval phase, written by Ramsay, is as follows. The whole armada would be spearheaded by 287 minesweepers that would clear the way for the ships behind them. Behind them would be 138 warships that would bombard the German beach defenses in Normandy itself. The troop-carrying convoy would then sail in from southern English ports protected by an escort of frigates and corvettes. Over 4,000 landing crafts had been assembled, and these were in need of protection. While the minesweepers pushed ahead, the vessels had planes flying overhead, dropping smoke screens to protect the crafts from German fire. There are circumstances in which this tactic by Ramsay had failed, and the sinking of the USS Corrie was one of them. The plane that was supposed to cover the USS Corrie was shot down by a flak, and this left the vessel wide open to German fire. The Germans focused heavy fire on Corrie, forcing the vessel to maneuver around wildly. These hasty maneuvers led the USS Corrie to strike a mine, rendering the vessel dead. And the Germans had mistaken the USS Corrie as an American light cruiser. They then fired several rounds of 210mm shells. The USS Corrie was partially salvaged post-war, and the vessel for the efforts received its 4th and final battle star. The hull of the USS Corrie can be found on site and is now a protective war grave.
My name is Leonard G. Lomell. I was First Sergeant of D Company, 2nd Ranger Battalion, United States Army, in World War II. I entered the service in June of 1942, and I was discharged in 1945.
Leonard G. Bud Lomell is an American hero and has done countless interviews on the events at Point Du Hoc, June 6 of 1944. The mission for his company was to disable the 155mm cannons by taking any means necessary. Lomell and the 2nd Ranger Battalion landed at the point on the morning of Overlord with the mission of taking down the cannons. Lomell was the 1st Ranger off the ramps and was the 1st Ranger hit. He was hit in the right leg by a machine gun and still pushed on for the mission. They made their way to the points in which it was assumed that the weapons would be. However, the Germans had planted the decoy weapons, and this was one of the major issues that could have made D-Day a failed operation. The Rangers had to scale 100-foot tall cliffs that were mentally and physically draining. However, they pushed on knowing that it was bigger than each one of them, and that the mission needed to be finished. Lomell was climbing with another Ranger and close friend when the other Ranger tells Lomell that he could not continue. The end of the climb was just a few feet away, but the strength was zapped from the other Ranger. So Lomell called to another Ranger and had him assist. Lomell is depicted in this moment in a famous picture called The Point, where he is guarding the 2 Rangers and firing on Germans, as his close friend and fellow ranger Bob is being aided. This picture is an important depiction of just one of the heroic acts Lomell does on D-Day.
Comes on, what's up? And I said, Bob can't make it to the top. He's out of strength. Can you help him? With that, Rube throws down his weapon, reaches over, grabs Bob, and he is so powerful, man. He jerked Bob up over the cliff, slung him over. Bob's going through the air. In the meantime, I've gained enough strength to get up, and I'm standing up there with my submachine gun, protecting Bob and Rube, and the Germans and Rangers are being shot.
Lomell, when realizing the cannons were not where they were told, acted quick, and once the cliffs of the point were scaled, him and Jack Coon moved out and followed the tracks left by a large vehicle. Lomell spotted all 5 weapons, and this was a huge moment in the success of D-Day. Lomell at the time did not expect to make it out alive and told Jack to stay low and provide cover if necessary, as there were close to 100 Germans in a field a few meters away. Lomell took out all 5 cannons and single-handedly completed the mission given to the 2nd Ranger Battalion.
We look at you and somehow we know the answer. It was faith and belief. It was loyalty and love. The men of Normandy had faith that what they were doing was right, faith that they fought for all humanity, faith that a just God would grant them mercy on this beachhead or on the next. It was the deep knowledge, and pray God we have not lost it,